We are starting the show. Hello. Welcome back to Alpha Book Club.
You think that's impressive? Watch this. Maud will continue to host it.
This is our online interactive book club. Wow.
Host this show-yarum.
Oh, fuck. What's happening?
Amy, you fucked it up. You did something wrong. Fix it. Maud's weird now. Fix it.
Normalium bactuosus.
Oh my God, don't you ever do that again. Put that one down. Hi guys, welcome to Alpha Book Club. Obviously, if you haven't figured out by now, we've got wands because all this month we've been covering Harry Potter. My goodness, Amy. I'm so glad you're here. Everyone give it up for Amy Vorpal from Mothership.
Thank you.
Wow, talk about your spellcasting is mother shit. You're crying! That is a tear!
Amy always makes herself cry.
That's amazing.
Oh my!
And Hector Navarro is also back. Hi there, Geek and Sundry.
We haven't even started drinking yet. Let's start.
Cheers.
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 Boop. Boop.
Isn't that one of the assignments?
Boop.
Oh,
We gotta boop it.
Cute.
Boop.
Bye.
Boop. Boop it. We're having fun.
So apparently Rachel drank polyjuice potion and she's spent the week as a cat.
Ooh.
She's also getting some skelly-grow happening. But that's book 2.
That is book 2.
We won't go into that anymore. But hello, Alpha community. Right, already we've got Brookity, Ursus Ferocious, DeMarco Draws, all in the chat.
Hello, everyone.
It's wonderful to have you.
Is
Moderator.
Rachel Hine in the chat as well? I thought she said she was going to be hopping in there.
Rachel Hine
Say hi.
said she'd be in the chat. Is
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Okay.
Bufferty.
Yeah,
Does
this
that
is going to
mean-
be a hell of a
Does that
show.
mean that we're not live?
No, I think we
the
are.
chat. That's
we
a little
are.
slow.
Okay, cool.
That reminds me of page 172 in the book, 132, where Professor Flitwick says, and make sure you pronounce the words correctly because we'll never forget about the man who said his S's instead of F's or F's instead of S's and a buffalo landed on him. The joke there was buffer. And I tried to work it into buffalo.
That's pretty good.
Is that 172?
132?
Well, I was going to say 132.
132 is not correct. No. Nope. What's the joke?
Really impressed.
Bussalo? What was the joke? F's and S's?
Yeah, when it's like Wingardium Leviosa, make sure you say your S's and not your F's because we remember the man who said his F's instead of S's and a buffalo landed on him.
Wingardium Leviosa. and then a
I didn't write the
buffalo,
joke. I feel like you have problems with the joke and it's directed at me just because I look like J.K. Rowling.
You
like
do.
15
Yeah.
years
and
ago.
you sound more than like her than Amy does, so that's why I'm like, yeah, you do.
Yes.
That's xenophobic. Fantastic. Hey there.
Fantastic.
We are going.
There she
Oh,
is.
that's
Look at
me.
that.
Oh my gosh, that's
actually
Whoa.
really great.
What was I doing not writing books that made billions of dollars? Why can't I have that sort of talent?
All you need is a button-down shirt, man, and you are on your way.
You can rock it.
But instead I'm wearing, how do I do this delicately? These are Dementors and here's my crush. There's Harry. Is he Harry?
Yeah.
Casting a Patronus. And
the
I'm
side of the
delicate
lake.
about my hemline. Hey, so anyway, we have finished the book. Again, I want to hear from the chat. When was the last time you read Harry Potter or watched the movie? And like Amy, did a lot of the things escape your mind when you were reading it? And it was like you were reading it for the first time.
I was just telling Maud that when I was reading through it, I was like, oh my gosh, I know that the thing in the brown paper package is important, but what could it be? and everybody last time I was on and in my life were just like, it's Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
Yeah.
I'm like, totally is. I can't remember. They're like, but you don't remember what was in the brown paper package in Sorcerer's Stone. And I'm like, that's right.
I feel like it's just a stone's throw away.
Yes, it was ridiculous. And what I thought it was the flute that made Fluffy go to sleep because I remembered that part of the book. I just
did
didn't
come in a
remember.
package.
Yeah.
So
That was one part about if we're talking from book to movie adaptation and in talking about the differences that they made and the shortcuts and everything,
what if you cast a spell just there?
accidentally,
I know.
whoops, I will try not to. I liked that change where they sort of shortcut a few things in the Fluffy sequence and then in the chest to to the stone sequence at the end.
Yep.
The thing that they cut out was the
Logic
riddle,
puzzle.
was the logic puzzle that Hermione solved.
Yep.
And I thought about why, and I was like, that's kind of a bummer because it removed a thing that Hermione did.
Yeah,
But then
her being an asset.
But it replaced it with the Devil's Snare. She had 2 solves for the Devil's Snare.
She did, right, that's fair enough. And I also
I'm
thought,
talking
well,
about the movie next week.
why? Oh, we're talking about it next week?
The movie,
Oh, okay.
but the book.
You want to talk about the book right now? All right, we can talk about the book.
Well, before we do though, I do have a reason why they cut out the logic puzzles,
Oh,
and it
yeah.
happens in D&D streams all the time. If you ever stream a D&D show and they cut it down, it's not fun to watch other people solve problems.
Right,
It's
that's
fun
what
to
it's fun
solve.
to
It's fun to
read
solve
it.
puzzles yourself. It's fun
Right,
to read
it's
it.
fun to
Beg
read
to
it.
differ. Homework for everyone. There is a video going around called "Co-workers Solve Riddles Drunk," starring,
Oh, that's fun.
starring yours truly. And if
that's
that's not
good.
the most entertaining,
Well, Maud,
thing
I'd literally anything you do is
Yeah,
entertaining.
drunk or sober. That's right.
Drunk
I
or
got
sober.
them very drunk.
And I agree. I think we should have gotten Hermione drunk, and then she should have solved the logic puzzle. That's how you do it in the movie. That would have been
Yeah.
fun.
She. What kind of drunk would
So-
Hermione be?
Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
Yeah, it's just the
Harry-
Hufflepuff Kitchens.
Harry would be. I feel like Harry would be like a quiet drunk. He'd get real quiet.
Yeah.
He'd
Ron-
listen. He'd listen
Ron-
intently, and then get stuck on a story, and he's like,
Yeah.
"No,
Yeah, yeah.
the reason why Bitcoin has taken off
Yep.
so much in the
Yes.
last 12
Yep.
months is," and you'd just be locked into this
Ron,
conversation with
I feel like
drunks.
Ron would become like a crying, like an
Sad-
oversharer,
Yes, 100%.
like an oversharer
He-
drunk.
And his
He's
his
just
drink
like,
would be
"My
whiskey.
brothers-
Yeah.
My brothers always pick on me, and that's who Ron would be. And then Hermione would be what kind of drunk?
Happy.
Happy drunk?
So
You think
happy.
Aw,
Yeah.
yeah.
She would be happy and
I can
like
fly, try and catch
complimenting.
me.
She would
Yeah.
compliment everyone.
Yeah.
Catch me.
Yeah.
No,
tried
Hermione,
to
get
hug
off
and
the
kiss
table.
everyone.
Get off the table,
Yeah, I think you
Hermione.
might be
right.
Come on.
Yeah.
No, I really can. Watch
That,
me.
yeah.
Wingardium
he's the best.
Leviosa. Wingardium Leviosa. That'd be great.
But she'd like finally build up the courage to make out with her crush, and she'd like kiss their neck a lot
Yeah.
because she didn't realize that it's the wrong spot.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what Hermione, and you'd be like, "Sweetheart." Move your
Drunk
head.
Hermione. That
Move
needs
your
to
head
be
in.
something.
So the end of this book, I think, is the best part of this book. It is
Mm-hmm.
fantastic because there's a lot of payoff in it, and I kind of want to talk a little bit about. Well, we should say what the last third of the book, quarter of the book was, obviously, because it is called Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
Sorcerer's Stone.
Philosopher's Stone.
SS.
Just for the Americans watching
USS
American subtitles, subtitle Sorcerer's Stone.
There it is.
Anytime.
So
Mod says
basically, we learn more.
Wait. But why is it a
about-
Philosopher's Stone? Do they do magic? Do philosophers do magic in
No,
in Australia?
this
I know
was
you
how it was
probably already.
explained.
Okay.
Americans, dumb American kids, do not know that the word philosopher actually means.
Like, yeah.
Like somebody who like an alchemist.
Yes.
Oh, an alchemist.
Yes.
I am a dumb American kid because I didn't
Same.
know that either.
Same.
Philosopher
Sweet, just when he
means
pointed-
like
Socrates.
theology. Yeah.
Socrates is with Philosopher's Stone.
Studying the
But
life.
in the UK and in Australia, it is a philosopher is like another word for like somebody that does alchemy, like an alchemist.
Can be.
It can be. So that's why that. So Nicholas Flamel, being the
is-
philosopher,
he's the philosopher.
makes sense with that cultural understanding and upbringing, but it doesn't
Yeah.
make sense in the United States.
Okay, cool.
But it sounds better. So
Sounds more boring.
a lot of things that are happening. We're establishing the relationship between. I have a wand in my hand.
I know, but you have two dumb Americans laughing at each other like, it sure does.
Oh my God!
it
Words,
certainly-
words have definitions
Yeah.
that I didn't know.
I'll tell you what, I'd read a sorcerer's book. We're real dumb. Yeah. And not on a philosophy book. All right. Sorry.
So okay, so in the book you've got your main quest, right? And then there's the side quests.
Yes.
And the side quest in this instance is Hagrid and the dragon, and they've got Norbert, and all of a sudden
Yeah.
it's their problem because they're
Yep.
this giant, soon-to-be giant
and
dragon.
brilliantly
Yeah.
side quest at first.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. It all threads in
It all
together.
threads into the main quest.
Yeah.
In video game terms, that's a good way to put it, Matt. I like that.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Okay, what next?
Well, they passed that quest even though they didn't get the reward because like once they'd completed the quest, they didn't go back to the source to claim the reward. They got sprung.
Right.
So
Yeah.
So no,
'Cause they
no
noticed
good
that
deed
butt was
goes
stuffed.
unpunished.
Yes.
Exactly it. And then of course I love Hagrid's. you get a real sense of who he is, and he can't hold his tongue. He can't keep a secret. Oh, I should not told you that. It's my favorite line.
he's
Oh,
so
should not told you that
cute.
either. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And then detention with the Forbidden Forest as well. So the fact that they got caught means that you saw McGonagall's teacher Bamf side.
Badass mother effer.
Yes.
And she held no mercy.
And that's how you write a book. You say detention and it means like almost death.
50 points
Like,
each.
man.
That I
Was
loved.
taken. And you know what? I did the maths as well, because sometimes her math doesn't really add up. Like Snape taking 30 seconds to realize he was on fire. There is no way.
Yeah.
It would take him 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But in this one, I was like, oh, really? 150 points? Like, how is this staggering? Well, when you look at the end of the book with the points, it's only around the 400 mark. Like a little bit under and a bit over 400. So 150 points is like,
Yeah, devastating.
Yeah.
Those poor children.
Man, so like you're saying that like on average, if there were in a whole school year things done by students that would grant them points to their house,
it's
it would
supposed to
be
be like
10
a
points
point here and there.
A point here and there. So either
And then 5
400.
points is a good deal.
So 400 small things,
yeah.
or if it's 10 points, that's 40 pretty exemplary things done by students to kind of ratchet up to around the 400 mark. So 50 points each is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they got bullied for it. They got shunned.
Sure.
Yeah.
That makes
school.
sense.
Yeah,
because-
some dumb first years. It's like freshmen being the idiots that kill your house cup chance.
But again, you hear this Forbidden Forest, and you're like, oh, that's a cool name, what goes on? Well, some funky stuff. And in there, we met a dying unicorn being drunk, and some centaurs as well. I think it's a really amazing thing how they use the properties of animals and like the mythical creatures. So the first we heard about a unicorn was the unicorn hair that goes into the wands.
Yeah.
Same thing with dragons, the dragon heartstring. And then on the card about Dumbledore, he also discovered the 12 uses of dragon's blood,
Okay.
which I, again, like, this is not a good place to be a vegan if you
Right.
are.
No. But what a place to be a philosopher
Yeah.
when you're mixing the alchemical reagents of philosophy.
Alchemic. What is that? Is that a word?
Alchemical reagents? I don't
No.
know where. Yes, it is. Alchemical reagents.
Oh.
That whole thing is one word?
No, it's not one word. It's two words.
What is the first word?
Alchemical?
Alchemical.
Yeah.
Like alchemy.
Yeah.
Like, but
Reagents.
chemistry,
Yeah, okay.
chemical, alchemical, like reagents.
Leave Al
the
out of this.
reactors.
What did Al do?
I have a gripe with J.K. Rowling's story in this section of the book.
Oh Jesus!
I find that it's to me, I think it's a little bit of a joke, especially in pop culture, that these kids are in this much mortal danger all 7 years of this school.
Okay.
That the stakes are so high indeed. Voldemort is the end all thing that like it gets to a point where it almost seems irresponsible to, and they talk about it in the movies and I'm sure in the books, but I haven't read them so far, to, for example, keep the school open because things are that dire, right? I feel like it didn't really happen in this book up until this section where it was like, here's detention going into the Forbidden Forest with Hagrid. Okay, fine. And then Hagrid's like, we're going to split up. Right there, I was like, nope, that is an irresponsible parent move.
Yeah,
Yes.
That is an
yes,
irresponsible
I got
parent
nervous.
move.
I got
Yes.
nervous too, but of course it is because it's Hagrid. We've already seen his character
Right, and
go
it's
a little
like
nuts.
it go a little nuts, and it gets to that point where it's like, listen, I love Hagrid. He's one of the best characters in the entire story.
Sending off 2 children with a dog.
But I went, how has this guy not been fired? Like this is bad, especially after
This
they
is
find
a
out.
known detention.
This is a known to go into the Forbidden
well,
Forest.
yeah, McGonagall knew.
This is a
True,
Filch was
but
rubbing it in, going, "You're
here's-
not gonna come back from this one alive, are
Yeah.
you?"
Now,
wow, really good impersonation.
Really good Filch.
Only time
Really
I
good.
actually have beaten Hector in a voice.
Excellent. Not the only time. You can do a perfect Australian accent, and I cannot even come close. It's so good. You can do so good. But like that one, I'm okay with because that seems a bit like, and we talked about it before when Harry was in Snape's class for the first time, and it felt like it was the perspective of a kid and looking up at a parent and going, an adult going, they hate me. They really hate me. The way all kids do about their
Yeah.
teachers, about their parental figures. So when people, when the kids talk about Filch and him being this groundskeeper who's like evil and his cat's evil, I'm like, that's fine. He could still be like a groundskeeper Willie from The Simpsons who's just like gruff, or he could be somebody that adults know like he's harmless, but yeah, he's this weird little dude and he's gonna appear like an evil character to the kids. Then with later we learn that Snape actually does harbor feelings towards
Yeah.
Harry, which I
Yeah.
think still works beautifully in this book. It was a
Yes.
great reveal, but just back to the Hagrid Filch forest scene, I was like, after they find out the fact that it's Voldemort who's eating this unicorn blood,
No, well,
I feel
technically
like-
it's Riddle.
it's Tom Riddle It's
Oh,
Quirrell.
no. Whoops,
No,
Quirrell?
Yeah,
Quirrell.
In any case, the idea is that Voldemort's trying to gain his power. He's trying to come back.
Yes.
I feel like even after that, there should be a little bit more, and maybe it'll be explored later. A little bit more of like a shutdown for safety in the school. Does that make sense? Something else.
Right.
And it felt a little like man, like Dumbledore, you're really leaving these kids out on a. And then at the end, when the kids themselves call Harry out on it, where they're like, how could Dumbledore just like. And Harry's like, I think Dumbledore wanted to give me a shot at the guy who killed my parents. And I'm like, that's great, and that's a great story point.
Yeah.
But that kind of leans towards the Dumbledore's making some bad like that's not the safest.
You sound like
it's not safe.
Reverend Lovejoy's wife.
Well,
somebody think
Helen
of the-
Lovejoy is her
Thank
name,
you.
and in this case, yes, somebody please think of the children. Because Hagrid wasn't, because he's like, just go over
You're
there with my dog,
30.
with my old dog.
This happens. You're
But-
into
I don't even have
30.
kids. I don't even have
know.
kids.
To me,
You don't want to have kids?
No, I said I don't even have kids, and I'm still thinking about that. I cannot imagine a parent reading this and going, "Come on, Hagrid, you messed up, bud. You messed up." If the regular detention is like we're going
But if
into the
that's
Forbidden Forest,
protocol, how are you putting it on Hagrid? I am defending Hagrid.
you should, as you should. I don't know. The protocol is we're going into the Forbidden Forest. I feel like the part that wasn't protocol maybe was Hagrid going, "We're going to split up to cover more unicorn blood."
But he trusted. You heard him. He trusted his dog.
Yeah, but then in the book,
implicitly.
they're like the dog is old and slow and he's not a magical creature. He's a dog.
His name's Fang.
His name, yeah.
Yeah. But I thought, isn't it, at some point there's a description of Fang where it's just like
No,
he's
Hagrid
an old
goes,
dog?
no, not old dog.
No, but
it's
he's
the-
disgusting. He's gross.
No,
Okay.
it's that thing where, Malfoy straight away goes, I want to be on Fang's side. And then he goes, all right, but he's a bigger wuss and coward than...
Yeah,
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Exactly,
And that's
thank you.
And then what happened? You immediately got scared for them.
Yeah.
That was the point.
Oh, I know, but it's just...
It wasn't
I just,
responsible enough in a fictional universe where they do magic.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Not just a fictional universe where they do magic, but a fictional school where there's kids learning. That's the difference between Hogwarts and the wizarding world of Harry Potter, right? We're not reading Fantastic Beasts, where there's a young 20-something, very handsome guy in New York in the 20s doing his own thing. It's not adults. We're like at the school, and I feel as if some of that I'm talking about will pay off in books later. The not knowing what exactly Dumbledore is talking about. He doesn't tell Harry stuff at the end, and that's
No.
fine. And the way he
Yeah.
says
Yes.
it is in a sweet way that's like, we'll see you next book. We have more story to tell. And I was fine with that, but there's still a little bit of me that's like, maybe I wanted more of a...
The story
know.
lover in me was like, Dumbledore has his shit so covered, I don't have to be too afraid. Like
He is the epitome of everything happens for a reason.
Yes.
And I usually hate being told
Exactly.
that when I'm like, meh. or
Sometimes
whatever.
it can be a little bit of a cheat that everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Sure,
But
sure.
with
Yeah.
Dumbledore, like, he's all-seeing, all-knowing,
Yeah, he's plugged in. He was probably one of those trees. Like he
Trees?
He might have turned himself into a tree.
I want to
Oh.
You
know.
know, I don't know. I
where
don't
you're
actually think
going
so,
with
but
that.
no, just like he was there. Like he
Like
knew.
there was never any real, like Harry was never really in mortal danger because the school had his back. Dumbledore had his back, I think is what
Do you know
Amy's
what?
saying.
Do you know what it really is though?
Hmm.
The portraits talk, and the portraits go in and out of the Ministry of Magic.
Actually, yeah.
That could be
I've
that.
thought about it, guys.
That
Oh,
could be
yeah.
a thing.
And again, a little bit of a plot hole because apparating doesn't happen for a couple of books.
Mm-hmm.
Why is he going to take so long to get to and from London when he can apparate? Yeah, I see you.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a
that
good point.
actually is good. Yeah.
That's a good point.
And what's a snuff box? Can we just go over that real quick?
What is that?
Yeah, they had to turn a mouse into a snuff box, but if you ask me, it sounds like a room where people die.
A snuff box. Isn't that like a
Didn't you say
cigar or
shoebox?
cigarette?
Snuff. It's a snuff
Okay.
box.
Isn't it like a?
But if it had whiskers,
Isn't
then
it?
It's
marks
cute.
down. It's cute. It
Is
would
it
be
a
cute.
place where you store your cigars or cigarettes or something?
that could
Cigar
be it.
box?
Where you store snuff, which was
Snuff?
something people used to snort, that some of it might have been a little...
Oh, drugs.
And maybe
That's
now.
what I don't understand. You want to talk about irresponsibility
Oh, yeah.
here? How do kids know?
Children,
what a
take,
snuff box is?
children, take out your weed pipe. Everyone, take out your weed pipe. Now, transformorgify it into a mouse, and if it has whiskers, yeah, that's a little.
If you get high, bonus
yeah.
points.
I'm sure that in the UK, snuff box is now a term that means like a household object that is distanced in the same way that
Sort of,
Coca-Cola
yeah.
used to have cocaine in it. It's
It
not,
might.
you know,
It might even be just a woman's jewelry.
yeah, whatever it was,
I was just,
Compact.
whatever it was. But yeah, can we talk about the end of the book?
You betcha.
Yeah.
Can we do that? We got stuff to.
I was a big fan of the I actually listened back to it again because when you get to listen to it, I get to do it twice because it's so fast.
Knox says snuff is dipping tobacco in a small box like Skull.
Skull is a brand of tobacco.
Okay. Great.
Which I know because
Oh yeah,
I'm Texan.
snus goes up in here. I remember that. Some
Snuff is for
German
cocaine.
exchange student.
Yeah,
told me
snuff is for cocaine, not drugs.
that. What? Haha. Oh yeah, there you go. Theories on the same thing. That bothered me as well. Flu powder, port key,
Apparition.
all is instant transport.
Yeah.
He's not on his broom getting over there, is he?
And also the owls, and I guess later on they explain, when you talk with your head, the way like Sirius did,
yeah, that's flu powder.
flu powder.
Yeah, he just didn't go all the way through.
But I
the
guess
flu.
you would need to have flu powder first for that to work.
do, yes.
Okay, so they just didn't have it.
Well,
they're just
I wouldn't be
youngins.
surprised if later.
Oh yeah, Knox got me.
Oh.
Operating does not work at Hogwarts. Just walk out the front
Oh.
door.
It doesn't. Oh, that's
Your
good.
name is Dumbledore.
True. That means you're a master of doors.
You'd think.
I wouldn't be surprised if there were some inconsistencies throughout the series as the books went on, especially. But I just want to say, like, for me, having seen these movies and knowing what this world is as an
Yeah.
outsider and reading this for the first time, this is a tight novel.
So good.
It is so well written and
Yes.
so well planned out
Well,
that I
yes.
feel
And
like it's
everything happens for a reason.
97% perfect. If
Yep.
there's inconsistencies,
Yeah.
I'm going to cut J.K. Rowling some
I love
slack. Everything
the
happens for a
clues
reason.
dropped. I loved. I think you brought it up. How when Harry's like, I read Nicholas Flamel somewhere.
Yeah.
You also were thinking, I've read that
Yeah,
name
it's
somewhere.
just-
But you also couldn't remember like
Mm-hmm.
where exactly you were on that journey with Harry. That was done
Mm-hmm.
so well. The Snape.
Revelation.
The Snape
The
revelation of-
explanation of it. Oh no, he was protecting you.
He was a counter
He was
spell
counter
guy.
cursing,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
he came back to protect you on the
As
field,
as a
which
ref.
is why Dumbledore was there too. And it's like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
that
And the
great.
fact that it was like, so anyway, it's like, hello, Harry, and there was no quivering in his voice, and he's like, said it so surely. You're like,
Yes.
something's so wrong.
Yes,
yeah, I
yes.
love that.
And the weirdness of but you know it's a magical world, that's fine, of Voldemort living on the back of his head. It's so creepy, but like that's great. Like all the
Yeah.
voices and the weird
All the
shit that
Quirrell
was
stuff makes sense.
Yeah.
But
all
all
the Quirrell
the
stuff makes sense.
times where, like, it was mentioned, a rumor was he hides garlic in there to ward off vampires because that's why it smelled funky.
Yeah.
And there was a beautiful moment which kind of resonated with me where the Weasley twins were shooting magical snowballs at the back of his turban. And I just got this vision of like Voldemort, like oh.
That's great.
Yeah, little things like
That's
that are just
amazing.
like so
I mean,
sweet.
Hermione ran into him, and J.K. made sure to
Yeah.
let us know that before she went to
Yep.
go stop Snape.
Yep.
And that paid off.
Even
and,
at
yeah.
the cauldron, the leaky cauldron.
Oh, the leaky cauldron. Yeah,
he
that's set
saw-
up.
That's where you first
It was
meet
a
Quirrell,
it was a
the
really
day that it gets
good
stolen.
like children's whodunit
Yeah.
that like reads as a fantasy novel.
Sure. And even the stuff with going back to Snape for a second, when Harry says, "Does Snape hate me?"
Yes.
Does he hate me? Voldemort or Dumbledore says, Severus Snape and your father hated each other.
Yes.
He doesn't say he hated your father and leave Harry's father innocent, because I know from watching the movies, Harry's dad was kind of a dick to him.
Yes.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's a back and forth thing, and he even says it like in the same way that you and Malfoy kind of have a thing.
Yeah.
Snape and your father didn't like each other. He doesn't
Yep,
say
they're-
Snape was a dick to your dad
No.
and your dad's perfect.
Dumbledore
He was
has
like
so much
didn't like
respect
each
for
other.
Snape, and you see him
Yeah.
defending vehemently.
Because he says
throughout the
Professor
whole-
Snape. Harry, Professor Snape. 'Cause he's
Yeah.
like, why did
Respect
Snape
him. Yeah.
not like Professor Snape?
Yeah. Respect.
Yeah,
And that's
I
not gonna-
love
that's
the
not
way
gonna pay
I
off,
love the way
Dumbledore.
the
Sorry,
adults
bud.
are painted, where it's like the adults know things that the kids don't know, and then they found out about the Sorcerer's Stone. McGonagall's like, "How did you know that?" Oh well, like because they're kids. Okay,
Well,
they
if you
found
find
something
it,
out. Like don't
You
but-
can have eternal life, and everything turns to gold and all this kind of stuff. But okay.
Yeah, but they're flawed as well.
It just occurred to me though that what a testament that McGonagall, Snape, who else had a Sprout, knew about the stone, and none of them felt the need to take it for themselves either.
Yeah.
Sure.
What a powerful artifact that is.
Well, they might have tried, but you can't get it unless you don't want to use it. So, the only reason they would have tried to
Oh.
get
But
it.
they're helping protect it at the same time. I don't know.
Yeah,
They were
That's true.
always beat just like
That was so cool in the mirror of Erised. That was so
Yes.
like that was a good callback too.
I love how
That
Dumbledore was
awesome.
like, I am a genius.
I know,
How
he's
good
so
was that one? That's
cute.
one of my best, and that's saying something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got some good one-liners.
Oh, really quickly, by the way, in the chat, if you have an excerpt that you would like us to read, because we all do voices and we can all reenact a particular scene. If there's
Yeah.
anything in particular, let us know now so we can get to it by the show.
I'll make a request. Pick something with Dumbledore in it. I want to be Dumbledore.
I could do a McGonagall,
Oh, I'd love to hear that.
but I will
great.
also do, Harry.
Guys, I also, again, rewatched the first movie before starting this book.
I would
don't
watch
like when you
it
do that.
after reading the book.
Read the
Why
whole
don't
book
you just do it before?
because it helped. It helps me with characters' voices, those kinds of things, so that I can have.
But you, and you already know
But
them.
I'm only good at voices, honestly. It's because since I was a kid, I've been a mimic. So I'm listening to Richard Harris in my head as I'm reading Dumbledore, and I'm listening to 12-year-old
I'm the
Radcliffe,
same. I don't
Daniel
think I've
Radcliffe.
got the talent. I can just copy
No.
what other people do.
So
Like,
Ja-
acting, they're
Jamie
like,
Foxx.
Be more
Jamie
vivacious,
Foxx,
like, show me.
Oscar-winning
Yeah,
Jamie
yeah.
Foxx won an Oscar for portraying Ray Charles. Jamie Foxx is a great actor, but he's also an amazing mimic, and that
He's
I think is a
also
bit of a
an
comedic
asshole.
comedic
He's
bone.
the worst interview I've ever had.
Wouldn't be surprised. That's too bad.
He
Whoops.
shook my hand and sang in front of the room full of people working there that I had sweaty palms.
No, he
And
didn't.
and I turned into a puddle and I washed away
Oh my
from
gosh.
embarrassment and humiliation.
That sucks.
And then the next time I interviewed him, he did something very similar, but even worse. And I was like, oh, he's just an asshole. Fox. Mate, do you reckon Jamie Foxx's patroness is a fox? Legitimate question.
I don't know. Maybe. From the way you're describing him, it's probably like a gopher or something. Some little.
Go for
you know.
yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Go
Hey,
for
anyway,
yourself.
my patroness would be a flamingo, but on the site it was a basset hound.
Whoa.
Yes.
Those are different.
I could see I could see basset hound.
No.
I could see basset
Stop
hound.
it.
Absolutely.
I can see you with an otter. Otter's one of the options.
Thank you very
Oh,
much.
otter's great.
I'll take an otter,
I
but a
got-
basset hound.
my
Basset.
White mare.
Oh, thank you.
That's an
I
option.
actually got my first one was a goddamn hedgehog. And fuck
A
off.
goddamn hedgehog.
And then the second one I got, like
cool,
when we
man.
did
Sonic.
this other thing, was like some cat, which I'm allergic to cats and I don't really like them.
Oh.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well,
I
this
really
is,
like
and I'm not
cats.
just saying this to be smart, because this is a true fact. Cats do not like you, or anybody really. They just want to be fed and be left alone.
It's not personal.
So don't take it personal. It's not personal.
It's not, I know.
But guys, what I was saying real quick is that
Oh, there
even
you go.
after.
Simiish, the final part between Dumbledore and Harry in the hospital would be a nice part to read.
Oh, fantastic.
Do
Okay,
you want me
great.
to find that one while you're talking?
Sure. Speaking of that, this is what I wanted to say. Rewatch the movie, reading the entire book, listening to John Williams' score, perfect. Made
Yes,
it more magical.
agreed.
Get to the end, and I knew what was coming, and I teared up. I could not help but I choked
In the
up
book?
and I teared up reading the end of Harry Potter.
Oh, same.
The scene where he's
Yeah.
in his bed and all the characters come in, just like the end of Lord of the Rings, and they're visiting on the bed.
Yes,
The
yes.
Hagrid
I think we're
scene
gonna
was
read it.
great. Here's what I loved about the Hagrid scene, is that he gives Harry a photo album of his parents, and all of a sudden, like, and again, like most good stories and most good like hero journey stories, it's like fun, world building, establishment, action piece, kind of dramatic
yeah, I cried
stakes,
here, sorry.
and then right at the end, emotion. And it hits you with that emotion right at the end.
Oh, yeah.
So that it just fills you with this emotion,
That
and then you
poor
go.
Okay. I've got
Tiny
it.
baby boy is an orphan.
Yes.
And that is something that like
It's very cliche in stories.
it's cliche.
especially today.
Yeah. But to just
worked,
Yeah,
and
and
it
she
works.
just nudged it a little bit. Like she
Yeah,
didn't need to. It was just like,
because-
oh, remember this poor kid?
Yeah.
His only family now is literally the people he met like 9 months ago.
Yeah, he hands him the photo album, and J.K. Rowling writes it. Harry couldn't speak because Hagrid's like, "Do you like it?" And she says, "Harry couldn't speak, but Hagrid understood." And that's just a beautiful way to say this kid is choking up.
Yeah.
And like looks up with tears in his eyes. This is all stuff I'm
Yeah.
inferring. That's not even what
Yeah,
J.K.
the- with the
wrote.
photo- yeah, the
Because
photo,
it gets and then the scene with Dumbledore and talking about
Okay,
his
we're
parents
reading
and
it.
stuff.
298,
Great.
everyone.
Oh my
298.
goodness. Well, I need a copy of a book, Maud.
There's one here.
Okay.
Oh, I definitely do not have a copy. I read it on
Oh,
my Kindle.
crap.
Yeah, I
That's okay.
forgot to
Y'all,
bring
y'all
mine
do
as well.
work. Y'all
no,
do
no,
work.
no. We gotta bring you in on it. Do we have any other copies of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone?
That's,
Anybody?
why don't we?
Harry, do we?
Can we
I'm
You know
sure
what?
there's
I
one
might
around.
I might have it on my phone on my Kindle.
Well,
'cause I have
we're
Kindle
getting one
Reader on
flown
my
in. We're
phone.
getting one flown in.
Because if you have your book as well, the middle of 298.
Robo Rick, how's everybody doing? We're doing great.
I'll be reprising the role of Harry.
We're not messing
Hector
with you.
Navarro will be reprising his role of Dumbledore.
Okay, great.
And
I'm
if Amy
downloading
Bobble
the
can
book.
grab a
Oh, there's
copy, which
another-
she's
okay.
got.
Look at that.
And she will be.
But I do read
narrating.
on my phone, on Kindle Reader, because
Really?
you can have that app on any of your iOS devices.
Wow, cool.
What page is it?
298, halfway down from Harry Nodded. Amy Bobble. Harry Nodded.
Oh, Amy, will you be our narrator?
Yes.
You can do a British accent, you can do Australian, whatever you want.
I'll do
English,
British,
American?
and because Maud's here, it probably will sneak a little bit into
Oh,
Australian.
probably.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank
so
God that Dundee's not.
I don't know yet. I just said. I
Maud,
think it's fake.
My
I don't know.
Australian accent comes straight from our mutual friend Wyatt, and he sounds like a clown. Like his
He's got a
Australian.
very off
Mean.
He
accent.
always talks like this. He's like, wow, he's like another. I'm not exaggerating. Like
I've got
it's-
the Kate Blanchett version of the Australian
Oh, very
dialect.
nice.
Yes,
very
it's very
nice.
pretty. His is
Very Kidman-y. That's good. That's good.
out of control. What? So where do
Halfway
I
down
start?
from Harry Nodded but stopped quickly.
Okay. Harry nodded, but stopped quickly because it made his head hurt. Then he said,
Sir, there are some other things I'd like to know, if you can tell me. Things I want to know the truth about.
The truth.
Dumbledore sighed.
It is a beautiful and terrible thing, and should therefore be treated with great caution. However, I shall answer your questions unless I have a very good reason not to, in which case I beg you'll forgive me. I shall not, of course, lie.
Well, Voldemort said that he only Voldemort said that he only killed my mother because she tried to stop him from killing me. But why would he want to kill me in the first place?
Dumbledore sighed very deeply this time.
Alas, the first thing you ask me, I cannot tell you. Not today, not now. You will know one day. Put it from your mind for now, Harry. When you are older, I know you hate to hear this. When you are ready, you will know.
And Harry knew it would be no good to argue.
Oh, I lost my spot because I was pouting. But why couldn't Quirrell touch me?
Your mother died to save you. If there's one thing Voldemort, and it's a hard T, Harry, Voldemort cannot understand.
Funny because I'm pretty sure it's Voldemort.
Harry, I would know.
But
It's a hard T.
is it Volder less
You've been
or
reading
Voldemort?
it, child. Harry, you've been reading it.
Pretty sure I'm from the mother
I
country.
fought him. I physically fought him. Harry, you're 12. I'm very old.
You for him.
Your mother's sense of humor, Harry. There's one thing that Voldemort cannot understand, it is love. He didn't realize that love, as powerful as your mother's for you, leaves its own mark. Not a scar, no visible sign. To have been loved so deeply, even though the person you loved us is gone, will give us some protection forever. It is in your very skin. Quirrell, full of hatred, greed, and ambition, sharing his soul with Voldemort, could not touch you for this reason. It was agony to touch a person marked by something so good.
This is my favorite line in the book, everyone, and this is what made me cry.
This one?
This line right now.
Dumbledore now became very interested in a bird out on the windowsill, which gave Harry time to dry his eyes on the sheet.
Lost it, guys. I'm doing it again. It's gone.
There's a bird over there. Look at the bird.
I just thought, what a sweet moment. Oh.
How far are we going? Do we
Keep going.
Okay. When he had found his voice again, Harry said,
And the
"Oh, Maud,
invisibility cloak. Do you know who sent it to me?
Ah, your father happened to leave it in my possession, and I thought you might like it.
Dumbledore's eyes twinkled.
Useful things. Your father used it mainly for sneaking off to the kitchen to steal food when he was here.
What a beautiful nugget of information too. And there's something else.
Fire away.
Quirrell said that Snape,
Professor Snape, Harry.
yes, him. Quirrell said he hates me because he hated my father. Is that true?
Well, they did rather detest each other, not unlike yourself and Mr. Malfoy. And then your father did something Snape could never forgive.
What was that?
He saved his life.
What?
Yes, you're a wizard, Harry.
Said Dumbledore dreamily.
Funny, the way people's minds work, isn't it? Professor Snape couldn't bear being in your father's debt. I do believe he worked so hard to protect you this year because he felt that would make him and your father even. Then he could go back to hating your father's memory in peace.
Harry tried to understand this, but it made his head pound, so he stopped.
And sir, there's just one more thing.
Just the one.
How did I get the stone out of the mirror?
Ah, now, I'm glad you asked me that. It was one of my more brilliant ideas. And between you and me, that's saying something. You see, only one who wanted to find the stone, find it, but not use it, would be able to get it. Otherwise, they'd just see themselves making gold or drinking elixir of life. My brain surprises even me sometimes. Now, enough questions. I suggest you make a start on these sweets. Bertie Bott's every flavor beans. I was unfortunate enough in my youth to come across a vomit-flavored one, and since then I'm afraid I've rather lost my liking for them. But I think I'll be safe with a nice toffee, don't you?
Favorite line as well.
He smiled and popped the golden brown bean into his mouth, and then he choked and said,
Alas, earwax.
Love that moment in the book. It's that thing again where it's like it takes you on such a ride where it just takes you through all the feels.
All the emotions.
And then it just
The
delivers you like
humor.
a really nice moment where you're doing the laugh crack.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that
laugh
moment
cry.
is so wonderful. And again, it's showing the compassion that Dumbledore has. And also, like, you've just, so many things that you didn't really understand throughout the book just instantly made sense. The cloak that he got sent anonymously.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, yep, it was your father's. And he has that connection with him again.
And I love that even though there are very strict rules, like
50 points
Oh,
from
yes.
Gryffindor.
Every teacher knows that, you know, they're still kids, like they're going to
Sure.
screw up. So so Dumbledore's like, yeah, have your invisibility cloak. Your dad probably learned a lot about life using the invisibility
Getting
cloak.
into shenanigans.
fat.
Getting
Yeah.
in, yeah, you got to get into some shenanigans.
And I was actually thinking that. It's like how the perfect thing that you can team up with an invisibility cloak is the Marauders map.
yes.
And it's like, that is unlimited power.
And I wonder
Yes.
if do you think Dumbledore thought, or at least did J.K. intend for Dumbledore to give him the cloak to not just get into shenanigans, but like actually learn about Voldemort, prepare his defenses, go
No,
research
I
Nicholas
mean-
Flamel? He gave him this. He basically gave him the means
Yep,
to
one
get
of three.
to get into the trouble that he got into and almost died at the end of this book.
Right.
You know, and Dumbledore
Oh, I
like
thought you
gave him
meant with
those
the Deathly
means.
Hallows, because that is
Just
one of the-
specifically, even for this.
No, I'm talking
story.
foreshadowing.
Sure.
Where the giving of the cloak
Yeah.
was one of the like most powerful artifacts in the world, and he holds another one with the elder wand. Yeah, and it's such a flippant manner, but this cloak, like he didn't even say treat it well, because this is the thing that's going to save your life and stop the most
Yeah.
powerful wizard ever.
He basically said have fun. Thought this could be useful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
You know.
totally your color matches your eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Good.
yeah, I mean, but there is that. So, but we find out like way later. There's that legend, and I forget what it is. But Harry's going to fulfill it somehow. And
prophecy.
The
He's the
prophecy.
chosen
yeah,
one.
he's the chosen one, basically. And
Well, he could have been the chosen one, but it. they
There's two
also
chosen ones, him and Neville.
share the same birthday, share the same makeup of the
but I
prophecy.
think Dumbledore's smart enough to know that like you can't, direct the path of the prophecy in any way,
well,
because it's going to
Voldemort
basically.
chose that. He didn't go after Neville. He went after Harry. So
Right.
he made the decision who the
Right,
chosen
right,
one
right.
was by going after Harry.
I love the Neville character. That poor guy.
Yeah, and he got hot.
He.
Real hot.
Yeah, he got real
Braces,
hot.
guys.
Good for him. Good
Wait,
for
did he
him.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh
dude.
my,
Oh, have you not
oh my.
seen-
No, I haven't.
I
Should
wanted
we-
to start for. Oh.
Can we?
Oh, yeah.
Ma, just keep
Yeah.
posting the show for a second. I'm gonna
Okay.
blow Amy's mind.
Shall I give
Fine,
like a bit of a
that.
bounce?
Oh,
Chicka wow
mommy.
wow.
Here we go.
Bow chicka wow wow.
No,
Hey,
I'm very excited about that.
Another thing that was a foreshadowing, which I want to talk about, is this very, very throwaway line where Harry goes, sometimes he got the feeling that Snape could read minds. Book 6, everyone,
I don't remember that.
Half-Blood Prince, Harry has to get occlumency lessons, which is the ability to read minds and stop people from reading minds. Oh yeah, that photo.
Oh, let's see.
Oh yeah.
You know this?
Not
You know
so
this photo?
Very exciting.
Okay, close up on Amy's cam, please. Amy's cam. Okay, ready?
I better react. Okay. Oh my God. What?
Neville Hotbottom. Am I right?
He's oh my fucking Christ.
Okay, can I have my phone back now, please?
He's just
Yeah. Again, like I do with all the books that we read, I
Right.
believe the last one was for the Orient Express when I realised that the guy who now Diddley, Daisy Ridley, is dating, which I looked up and got obsessed with that one episode from the movie. Remember the hot guy? The hot guy.
Oh, she's dating him now?
Yes. So anyway, yeah, fun fact. I did the same thing for Oliver Wood. Checked what he was up to. Yeah, did the same for Neville Longbottom.
What are they up to, Mom?
He's doing plays in London
Of course.
as well.
Yeah, hitting the
nice.
gym, working out. Good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He sure is. No, he was great, and I think we talked about it before too. But in the book, reading the book, and I still maintain that those are the people I have crushes on, even though I definitely do not have crushes on them from the movie. My version of them in my head are
twins.
Fred and George Weasley.
I called it. Yep.
And Fred specifically.
There's
So
Why?
oh,
It's
why
we-
Fred
that's a
over
weird-
George?
I feel because I'm a twin, and I felt like I had to choose one. Like you know what I mean? Because
Which
I
one?
was.
And why Fred?
Which one loses the ear and which one?
I don't remember. I actually don't remember a lot of this stuff.
Hey, man, I haven't read the books yet. This is a weird question for me, guys, because I didn't read this book when I was also 12, where it would be a little bit okay to be like, who do I have a crush on? I'm not going to pick a character.
Oh really?
Although Minerva
There's not much
McGonagall,
out there.
Minerva McGonagall is a bamf, like you said.
Oh,
Like
that's
for
an
real,
amazing
for real,
answer.
for real,
Someone's
Maggie
turned on
Smith.
by authority. Are they? Playing by
I
the
like-
rules and not sending children into the
Yeah,
forest.
I like strong women. That's right. McGonagall, hit me up. Hit up your boy. I'll get you some points to that house cup.
Oh, I was Oliver. I had Wandwood for Oliver Wood, if you know what I'm saying.
Whoa, boner joke.
Okay, always I read my sweaty
Nice.
palms.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent boner joke.
But yeah, Dan Radcliffe, he looked short, so I was like, I can't even entertain
Yeah,
this.
he was. Daniel
was
Radcliffe
good.
is my type, 100%.
Mrs. Kylo Ren says Daniel Radcliffe was my first crush for sure. Yeah.
No, mine was Orlando Bloom.
Actually, the guy, I've tried to find some version
Actually, it was
of what my
Jonathan-
type is.
It was Jonathan Brandis from Sequest DSV.
Wow.
And I
Deep
was
cut.
like, I did that same thing. I was like, what is he up to?
It's probably at a
amazing.
con. You could go say hi.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, he committed suicide.
Oh, my.
Oh.
It's a real bummer.
I'm sorry,
real
this
bummer.
is so uncomfortable that I don't
Yeah.
even know what to do now.
Yeah.
But there you
Nope.
go, Jonathan Brandis. He was on my
Okay,
wall
great.
from
Oh
9
my
years of age.
God.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, now it's up to you to find that transition.
Yeah.
You are the host of the show. You're going to use the wand? Is that what's going to do it?
Hey, Gryffindor wins the House Cup, which is really cool. So what
Hey.
happens is the
Yes.
whole time you think Slytherins won it because they lost 150 points. How do you make up that outstanding loss? It turns out that if you do a good deed and, take care of the most powerful wizard and a teacher who betrayed the trust of the school, that's a bit embarrassing as well. for
Who did
Quirrell.
that? Which teacher?
Quirrell.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. He doesn't come back, right?
No, he's done.
He like.
Pretty sure he dies.
Oh, he disintegrates.
Yeah.
When Harry touches
Oh.
him,
Yeah.
it disintegrates him.
I thought I was confused because at the end Dumbledore says that Snape left his body, but I didn't know if that meant. And I remember in the movie that there's a you actually see it where he goes.
It's like very mummy-esque
Yes,
moment. Yeah.
crappy
Yeah.
effects. Yeah, that don't hold. I mean, they're good for then, but they don't hold up 2001. But yeah, so I didn't. So he definitely dies.
So I don't remember who, but somebody else does say that Voldemort doesn't care about the vessel he's using.
sure, for
he
sure.
will throw it away, get it killed. Who cares? There will always be someone
Yes.
else who will welcome his power in their.
and right now he's on his
physical
way
body.
to go to
And- yeah.
Rafe Fiennes, and then he's going to be in that vessel the whole rest of the time.
Hell yeah.
Leave Rafe.
Rafe, yeah, I said it right.
No, I know. It's just really hard for me. That one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was a
Because
late.
it's Ralph.
Yeah, I was a late.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
A late Rafer?
What I thought everyone was calling him Ray. Ray Fiennes.
Sure.
And I was like, oh yeah, Ray.
I have
Ray,
a
short
weird
for
Ray
Ralph.
Fiennes story that. Do you know The English Patient?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Okay, so that
it
movie
was an
was a very
Academy
long,
nominated
very long movie,
And it is the
when
epitome
I-
of a boring, long, good
yes,
movie.
and
but with
I
a steamy
watched it-
moment that was worth it.
Well, kind of. I watched it when I was like 13 or 14 with a friend of mine, and something about the first part of the movie, which I think is a flashback or a flash forward or something, got me thinking that the woman was going to die. And so I just kept waiting for the woman to die, and she never died. And
you're
it
disappointed?
It did kind of
So weird, Amy.
You were
That's so
gonna
weird.
love Harry Potter.
But I watched it in like 3 different sections, so I would like forget or whatever. But the whole time I watched that Ray Fiennes movie, I kept thinking, this woman's gonna die. When is it gonna happen? And it just never did. So it was a disappointing movie.
I thought the story was going to be I ran into Ray Fiennes.
Yeah, I
somehow
honestly
met
did
a-
think it was going to be a story with a purpose.
It was
No.
how you read The
Yeah.
English Patient. That was the
A
story.
movie that
It's
came
how-
out in
yeah.
1998.
Something like that, yeah.
Perhaps 7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was one of those movies that I was like, I'd have to like anyway. Whatever.
When was the
It's
first
not
time
Harry
you watched
Potter.
Titanic?
Oh yeah, a couple
No,
years
don't
ago.
get excited about that. I was
know.
taking the piss.
When it was when it was put
I love Titanic.
when it was put into 3D, I watched it again. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. I never need to see it again, but it's a good
It's
movie.
a fun movie to make fun of. It's a fun movie. to
It
make
can
fun.
be.
Which we can't talk about the movie right now, but Chris Columbus does a wonderful job directing this.
Yeah,
this
except
movie.
that
Yeah.
bone to pick that I have where he was just like, uniforms be gone. He didn't like it. So
No,
it
that was
stopped.
Alfonso Cuarón, didn't
Oh,
he?
that was Alfonso.
In Prisoner of Azkaban?
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
Oh.
absolutely.
Columbus is also,
Chamber of Secrets. And Home Alone.
There it is.
Yeah. And
With Johnny
the
Williams.
Goonies,
yeah.
or did he write the Goonies? I think he wrote the Goonies.
I think he wrote it, and then it was directed by wasn't it
Anyway.
Richard Donner? Wasn't that a Dick Donner picture?
I actually
The
don't
Goonies?
know.
I think it
know
was.
he had something to do with
Thank
the
you.
Goonies.
Here's
I-
another thing I take Mrs. Umbrage with in this.
I love that phrase. I
Boom.
love that pun.
Boom.
I don't get it.
What? See, I take Mrs. Umbrage because.
You have a problem with
Yep.
it?
So here's the thing. In the same way.
I wouldn't use that, and I am the queen of.
Yeah, you are. You are the
No,
pun.
In the
the
same,
pun
it's more of
meister.
a play on words. I don't
disappointing. That
know.
was a play on my emotions.
Okay. In the same way that it bothers me that the world of Harry Potter, specifically Hogwarts in this corner, is kind of okay with like Slytherin being looked at the way that it's looked at. And I've had fans of the franchise, everybody defends Slytherin. They're like, no, it's not just evil people. That's not what Slytherin is. And I'm like, that's fine. But the way it looks.
Yes.
And Hogwarts is fine with that school being like, that's the school of dicks.
Well, also
You know,
they
that's the
are
house of
winners, and
dicks.
because they have won the cup for the last 6, 7
Yes.
years.
Yes.
But they come off as arrogant. They
obnoxious,
yes,
exactly.
they come off of
Yes.
as all these things that like even in this story, I kind of was expecting a little bit more of because again, I'm just going off of the movies, and I'm like in the movies they're a bunch of assholes, and not only that, but like again, they say even in this book, anybody who was ever evil came from that house,
Yes.
and I'm like, well, isn't Hogwarts trying to do something
So
about this?
I'll break that down.
Yeah.
Riddle was in Slytherin. Riddle basically built his whole Death Eaters from Slytherin because they were in his house. Those people then had children. So it's a generational
It's
thing.
a generational thing,
It's like
which
how racism,
is true.
you're not born with it, it is taught.
It's taught, and
In
wealth,
Slytherin,
same thing.
The
Same
evil
thing.
of Slytherin is all taught.
And I think that that's fine, and I think that
Damn, well done, Morgan.
that very well done, and I
Very
think
well
that
done.
that all has a place in the story as like an analog for everything Ma just described that's real world.
Yep.
But I also was maybe just expecting a little bit more of in the book Dumbledore defending
But he
Slytherin.
defends Snape.
Snape. He
Yes.
defends
Mr.
Professor
Snape.
Snape.
Missler Snape.
Missler
The-
Snape. He does.
Professor.
Don't stand under the missile Snape. You'll get it.
What I'm getting at is the thing that made me a little frustrated, but it's a great moment, and it made you cry in the movie at the end when Neville Longbottom gets the last 10 points.
Oh my God, his face though.
It's so good.
Just like
and now his abs though, and now his other thing though. You know
Now
what I'm talking about?
His- Yeah.
Yeah. Get it.
Those, those aren't tidy whities. They,
No.
they couldn't be. They
They're
wouldn't fit.
filled
It wouldn't
out.
fit. Yeah.
Filled out.
I think he's
but
hiding his wand.
no, long bottom indeed. You know what I'm saying? Very long bottom. The point is
Did
that
you get a supple 8 inches with the dragon heartstring?
where is this going? Not references I really get, but okay, supple. But the point is that Dumbledore, at the end, he gloats. He gloats as he takes away the winning House Cup Slytherin, gives it to Gryffindor in their face, ties it up. He's doing, he knows the math already. He's like, oh, when these kids come in here for this feast, Slytherin thinks they won. Watch this. Boom, boom, boom. You're tied.
So-
Wait. Boom,
Here,
10
but
points. And I feel like, dude, and he's like, and when you need more decoration, new decoration. Gryffindor things
Magic.
come down, and I feel like, Dumbledore,
No.
you are making these kids hate these kids.
No.
Don't do that
No,
shit.
because
Don't do
Ravenclaw
it.
and Hufflepuff were just as happy.
Yes.
Yes.
If
they
anyone
not
but
Slytherin
And the,
and
and the
her.
faculty is sitting there looking at 3/4 of their
Okay,
student body,
but
booing and jeering
but
one
he-
quarter.
He
It's
gave,
like,
he gave,
you
and
guys got
he
a
gave
problem in your
points
school.
that made McGonagall's drastic punishment of points. He negated it. That's all he did, with a little bonus to Neville. But all he did was negate McGonagall's outlandish penalty.
Was
of points.
McGonagall too harsh?
I don't
Let
think
us
so.
know in the comments.
Absolutely.
I don't think so.
Absolutely. All they did was step out of bed. That's it.
Couldn't even prove there was a dragon. That was just hearsay.
No, yeah, they didn't even.
no
She had
evidence.
no idea.
But by this point in the book, to defend my girl
Look.
Minerva for a second, by this point in the book, this kids had been
Is it
out
getting on your
constantly.
nerves?
Yes, a little bit. Thank you. Nicely done.
That's how you pun.
Well,
Umbrage.
I said I take Mrs. Umbrage with that. I said
It's
Mrs.
I want it to be
difference.
water
Mrs.
under the bridge.
Nope. Okay, but it's friendly competition. Listen, Lauren. The point is that like the student, and if that's the case, if Amy, if what you're saying is true,
Yes.
then Dumbledore is undermining Mrs. McGonagall's like authority, which will then make the students side with Dumbledore and going, yeah, you know what, Mrs. McGonagall was outrageous in her punishment, and it's a thing that's just like. Look, it's great for the story. I fucking love this book. It was fantastic. I rated it 5 stars on Goodreads. It's a really, really good book.
I
just feel
remember
like
the last time I didn't rate something 5 stars.
I did. Right here. Boop, beep. Most of these. But like the point is that Dumbledore is trying, I think, too hard to be like
What, favoritism?
a cool headmaster instead of a
Interesting.
regular headmaster. Yeah, absolutely. And maybe it's
But
just
I
a little
love
too-
that all the Nerdist and Genius stuff like in the chat just being like, well, actually, did you notice that Snape was making up BS, whereas like 5
Yeah,
points
he
from
was.
Gryffindor. 5 points?
Yes.
For having a book that wasn't even a rule. So
Yeah, for taking the rule away from the
McGonagall
school.
went
Sure.
way too harsh with the discipline.
Yep.
But Snape is like destroying other houses as well. All
Yep.
Dumbledore did was even the playing field.
Like
I
that
also
person
think
said in
so.
the chat just now, scroll up a little bit. I think it was Mastera. You're not supposed to play favorites with your students when you're a teacher. That's the thing. Something that's always bothered me from the movie is when the
but
first years
sometimes,
get sorted. Yeah.
What else happens? Like McGonagall, she punishes her own students more harshly because
Sure.
of so it's not
Yeah.
it's not
Because
fair.
she's trying to
and
ensure
Snape
that,
will
like-
never punish a Slytherin, so it's again
Yeah.
not fair.
Yeah, it
So,
not fair.
So here's the thing: it's not fair. Let it happen, Hector.
Life's not fair.
Yeah. You know
Anyone
why?
that
No.
tells you
And
otherwise
because-
is telling you
And
something.
we haven't seen like racism, but this is like
There will
the
be, yeah.
version of racism.
Yeah,
where
which
no
I
one
don't
likes-
like.
Of
Because
course you don't,
Hogwarts
but
should be a place that is free of racism. That's what I'm saying. It
Yes,
should be the
it's
school.
houseism.
It should, but then there's the house elf thing that is racism.
Yeah,
and
it's
they
really
stand
bad.
up against
Oh,
it.
that's
But they don't
slavery.
see it within their own humanity. Well, that's just a metaphor.
Absolutely. I get it. I get it. All I'm saying is
Spew for
my
you.
my problem with the way Slytherin
What is that?
appears still stands, and I feel I just wanted a little bit more of
Wait,
like.
are you Slytherin? Are you Slytherin?
No, not at all.
Oh my god, are you
I'm
kidding me?
Totally
Huff and
against
stuff.
Slytherin.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you're Hufflepuff.
I'm Hufflepuff. I just want everybody to have a good time.
That's
That's why
cute.
this is so frustrating to me.
That's cute.
Is that like it's like Dumbledore and the teachers were fine with Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, and Gryffindor straight up booing Slytherin, and I'm like, you're gonna make it so that kids from Slytherin are gonna beat the shit out of these other kids when they go back to their dorms,
Marcus
and you teachers
Flint
are fine
did
with it.
unacceptable behavior on the field. Excuse me.
And he's a Slytherin?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Unacceptable.
And I think, here's what it reminds me of. And I get that we all love to belong to groups.
Moderator.
We all belong.
Someone called for in the chat.
We
Someone
all,
called for.
we all mudbloods and such. Yeah, we all
Oh my
belong.
gosh, I did a live cross talking about Mudbound, and in my rehearsal I said Mudblood.
That's great.
I was like, I won't be able to explain that, and it makes
Yeah.
me sound like I'm racist.
Yeah, you'd have to be like, I love Harry Potter. I
Mudbound.
love
No,
Harry
no,
Potter.
it's just the other bad word. That, oh my
in
god.
Harry Potter. But what was the point I was just trying to make? I
I'm so
completely lost
sorry.
it. I
I
lost
got
it
it
a
with
second ago.
Racist. You were going to
No,
talk about
I think-
racism and
Slytherin.
Something about. Hang on. I'll get it back. I'll
You
get
hate
it
us
back.
because you ain't us.
I just feel like
I
I want to see more. Hopefully, I see it in the books of, I guess, more of a defense of Slytherin. I don't know. Whatever.
They do, and I think it's done a really good job when the sorting happened, and the public defend Slytherin. Like you don't have to. You're fighting for something that's already been rectified.
When the
life.
sorting happens, what do you mean the sorting hat?
No. The average person, the
Oh.
yous and eyes of the world, You just said there are so many people that defend Slytherin. So you're trying to get a better representation for something that's already been rectified.
No, I'm specifically looking for it from the authority. That's what matters to me. I don't care about how
You're never going to send
people-
your kids to boarding school, are you?
No, of course not. They'll go to a shitty public school and it'll
Oh
be
my gosh,
terrible,
boarding
but they'll
school.
be like,
I don't want to see you for 5
But if you,
Yeah.
but if you just take a step back and look at it from a story point, that there's always conflict, that there's just built-in conflict. That's an
Yeah.
amazing like story thing that actually is based in real life.
And the conversation we're having right now is all adult stuff. Adults look at pop culture entities, whether it's
Yeah,
Star Wars or
that's
Lord of the
true.
Rings or Harry Potter, and they go, what's problematic about this? That's fun to do for me. I like doing that.
Right.
It doesn't, to me, it doesn't take anything away. It doesn't negate any of this. This is still a hero's journey story about a chosen one, and you,
chosen orphan, tick,
chosen
tick,
orphan,
tick, tick, of
all of the
the
things like we
nuances.
talked
I
about
think
with
Stephen
episode
King
1.
wrote about when Twilight came out about the children's books that Twilight or Harry Potter is about being brave, courageous, and being loyal to your friends, and Twilight is about having a boyfriend.
Having too many options for boyfriends.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I-
and
Being a bit
there's
hot to trot.
there's
Yeah.
some good stuff even in the Twilight stories, but that's a real easy, that's a low hanging fruit to to poke at and be like, this world is kind of messed up from the ground up. I'm having to like comb through stuff. I feel like as the years gone on, people have to comb through stuff and go, well, what is really some like systematic problems at Hogwarts that in these stories
Yes.
that
Well,
people
let's
have
start
never
off.
addressed?
It's such a vulgar word. Can you imagine warts on a hog? No thanks.
Yeah, yeah.
I do want to say that I have been reading her other books. Robert Galbraith is her fake name, and she BComp actually recommended that I watch or read the Cormoran Strike series, and that is 100% a whodunit. They're all mysteries. He is a private detective and one of the best written private detectives that I've ever
great.
seen. And yeah, it's definitely like a modern day Sherlock Holmes.
No, you guys, you need to read.
No, they're great.
They're
Dresden
really great.
Files.
They're really great.
I want to read
Have
that
you read
too.
Dresden Files yet?
I heard they're great. As he like sips a beer, I don't care.
Well, no, I'll read yours, which I haven't read. If you read that one.
Fair enough. It's
Done.
great though.
And it's a Sprite. Calm down.
I know.
vodka.
But it had an attitude of a beer can. The way BCom
Yeah.
said it,
Yeah.
I don't care. Yeah.
That's true. Moderator saying he got Slytherin 3 times. Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
Moderator. Who is moderator? Is that you?
No, it's not.
Oh,
I'm in the chat while I'm doing this.
Yeah.
But yes, next week we will be going back over the Harry Potter stuff, but we'll be talking about all the fun things. We're going to have a Potterpalooza. So this is the tidbits about Potter that didn't fit into the last 4 weeks. We're going to be dressing up, answering questions, taking quizzes, all the sorting stuff. We're going to be going over the quiz questions in that.
What house are you?
The Patronuses.
Oh, the houses with me
You're
elude
Huffle-
me.
you're-
I got
she's
Gryffindor, then
Gryffindor,
Hufflepuff,
yeah.
then Gryffindor, then Ravenclaw in the show, and then I was like, for once and for all, I took a quiz that asked all the questions. I got Gryffindor.
Gryffindor.
again.
Yeah, you're Gryffindor.
So
I get it.
I don't know. I like being. I'm a everything but Slytherin.
You're the
that's
hero
fine.
of your own story who, frankly, doesn't give a shit about other people.
Me?
I'm kidding.
do you
No.
always-
I like to rag on
Going
Gryffindor a
into-
little bit.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's really hard for me not to accept a high
I like to
five.
rag on Gryffindor because I feel like of all the houses, they can be taken down a peg. I'm sorry. It's Harry Potter's
No,
house.
you
It's
and
fine.
everyone else. Hey, also next week we're going to be announcing our pick for February as well. You don't want to miss out. Also, we're going to be on Goodreads. Search Alpha Book Club. Come discuss with us too.
Ooh, let's keep looking at Longbottom.
If you are interested in joining us on the show, please come on. It'd be great to chat with you because we see you in the chat. So it'd be really cool to see you in the flesh as well. Let us know on Twitter at Join Team Alpha if you would like to be involved with Alpha Book Club. Courtney's going to get you set up. Send in those recommendations as well. If there's a book that you like, don't listen to BComp, listen to me. At Nerdist, at Geek and Sundry, at Join Team Alpha to get those suggestions in. I'm going to read this damn book. Anyway, guys, Amy, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having
Sorry
me.
we caught you out there. Hector,
Keep looking at that.
get your spell
Looking
on.
at that abs right
And we're
there.
going to see you next week.
The other workshop?
And
Huh?
Alomora. Lumos. Oh. Lumos.